Welcome to the Unstoppable Business Podcast. Dive into top business trends, ideas, and tips to help you run a better business. Let's jump right in today with your host, Arun Mehra. Now, welcome back to the Unstoppable Business Podcast. This is Arun Mehra, and today I'm just going to be talking a little bit more about accountancy firms. Now, I've just come back from an LEA global event in Washington, DC. And this is an opportunity to meet with other accountancy firms on a global basis. So interestingly, I met accountants from the US, Canada, Ireland, Australia, Vietnam, Indonesia, you name it. They were pretty much there, India, all over the place. And this is a great forum and a great way for accountants to learn about other ideas, but also see the commonalities that are occurring in many, many firms across the world. And there are many commonalities. So what I want to talk today is about what are the commonalities and what are the issues facing not just UK firms, but global accountancy firms, because there are some real kind of things to be taken away from this to understand and then implement as well. So the overriding factor that we seem to be seeing everywhere, and we probably see it in your posts on LinkedIn and elsewhere, is AI. Okay. Now, there is concern that AI will take over jobs, and AI seems to be moving at such a pace. If we look at how it's developed since it was we were made aware of it, I suppose, publicly earlier this year, to now where it is now, it can do so many more things. But remember, AI was actually introduced a few years back, but it didn't really get its public notoriety until earlier this year. Now, for accountants, we do, and I think it was in unison, everyone was thinking that it's definitely going to take over many, many roles, many, many jobs, which presents an opportunity, but also presents a challenge. Because from a challenge point of view, we might have bookkeepers, might have accountants, and if AI can do all the work by taking in the data and basically doing the books, preparing the accounts, preparing the tax return, you may think, well, what can the accountant do? And that's a very valid point. So you have to think, okay, what will the accountant in the future be doing? Well, it came clear in the process is in discussions is that one of the things that they can be doing is analyzing these numbers or interpreting these numbers and then helping businesses make better decisions and help them with their businesses. So technology and AI, I think, whilst it might be scary, I think it could actually add value to the accountant's role as long as you're receptive to using AI and using it to allow you to make better decisions for your clients to help them grow their businesses better. We're going to see this week, I think Microsoft Copilot will come out on the 1st of November, which is an exciting development as well. And this will be integrated into Office 365 and Outlook and everything like that. And I think I'm quite excited to see how we can start using that, because I think that could be a real game changer for accountancy firms. And the firms that embrace that early on will hopefully see the benefits. Again, but this isn't something that you can sit on your own. It's something that's going to have to be trained across your organization, across your teams. And if you've got teams overseas, again, that will have to be trained to them as well. But you want to ultimately improve efficiency. And the way to improve efficiency is to embrace the technology that's there. And what we're seeing, I think, in the tech space as well, is that a lot of applications, things like the accounts production software, bookkeeping software, are now going to start integrating various elements of ChatGPT or Bard into their actual programs, again, which will then speed up the process. So it's an exciting development in the accountancy space. Scary a little bit, of course it is, but very exciting too. So then the next challenge that it was quite evident also that was discussed was resourcing. US firms, Canadian firms, Irish firms, Australian firms, you name it, and of course UK firms, we're all facing the same challenge, including firms. I spoke to people from Germany and Belgium as well, and France, and they're facing the same challenge as well. Not enough accountants, not enough staff to work in their home countries. Now, for the English-speaking firms, it's actually a little bit easier because you can find staff overseas through offshoring to places like India and the Philippines. But for the German firms and for the French firms, it's a little bit more difficult. So that's an opportunity for some firms out there, offshoring firms, if they can get the language skills up. But I think that's a little bit further down the road. So what does that mean? Well, the opportunity is for, again, combined with AI, but also using offshore kind of resource. If those offshore resources are trained with AI, then you've got a lower cost team, a receptive team, and a team that's scalable. And I think that's a really important aspect, is that you need to have a scalable team. If you're going to grow, you need to be able to say, well, I've got a new client, I need to have a team member I can add to the team to actually support that client. There's no point being able to grow if you can't actually scale the team. And that's a massive challenge that UK firms and US firms are having. They cannot find the staff. They can get the business, and we can all get the business, but actually then be able to deliver on the business is proving a challenge. And the only option really available now is a combination of, think of offshoring or outsourcing with AI. That makes it an exciting place to be. And I know my firm, I've positioned myself very much clearly in that space to say, well, we've got the back office all sorted or developing. It's never always sorted. There's always things that have to get better and improve. But then that affords me the luxury to be able to scale up as we add more clients to our list, whether they're our own accountancy clients or whether we're supporting other accountancy firms. An exciting time indeed. In addition, the whole resourcing thing has really stemmed from the demographics of the team. And what we're seeing also is we've got in our firm, for instance, people in their late 60s all the way down to people in the early 20s. And we're having to adapt our kind of, and in addition, some are in the UK, some are overseas, and they're all over the place. And so we're having to adapt the understanding of how do different team members from different age ranges work together. Now, my 60 plus year olds might be very good, have a lot of experience in their subject domain, but they're not so technically proficient on using the latest in IT. Contrast that with a 20-something year old who's very quick, very fast, and who can understand ChatGPT and other tools like that very, very quickly. So it's trying to bridge those gaps, and it's training, and it's taking the best of each age range, taking the best of the baby boomers, but also taking the best of the Gen X or millennials. And I firmly sit somewhere at I sit at Gen X actually, and taking the Gen Zs as well. So I think it's about embracing each person at their different age level and taking the best out of that era. So again, an interesting phenomenon occurring not just in the UK, but across the world. And I think the last point I want to kind of touch on today in this brief, short podcast is, again, what we see, and I've seen it so many times and time again, is a lack of leadership and a poor culture in firms across the UK. Again, not only in the UK, but also across the world as well. And that's the thing that I think differentiates the firms that do not just good, but do really good, to the firms who just kind of plod along. And that's the thing that I know certainly in my team, I'm trying to focus on being the best leader that I can be. I'm improving the culture in the team and making sure that everyone works together as a team. And so you have to think, you should be asking yourself, how could you be a better leader in your team? What can you do in your team to empower your team, to build a culture where the team feel excited, want to get involved, want to develop, want to have new ideas, make suggestions, make recommendations. That's the kind of culture you want, the attitude of people who can do and who want to do stuff for your firm. So as I said, 3 main areas here I've just talked on briefly today. Tech, resourcing, using offshoring and the demographics of the team. And then thirdly, the lack of, or the development of leadership in your team. And that's really, really important too. And then finally, one thing that accountants, you might advise many clients all the time, but quite often or not, we forget to do it ourselves, or we just kind of glaze over the fact, is what are our exit strategies? What are our exit opportunities? At some point, you're building up a business. Is it something you're going to hand on to the next generation? Do you have some partners in your organization who's going to buy in, or are you going to sell it onto a private equity? Now, what we've seen, I think, in the UK, we've seen private equity in accounting, in the accountancy market grow over the last few years. We've seen certain groups who are well funded and acquiring accountancy firms of all shapes and sizes all across the country. I think that's slowed down a little bit now because of interest rates, but I can't see that going really. Why? Because accountancy firms have a regular recurring income. The valuations of accountancy firms tend to be lower than, say, tech companies, and it just generates cash flow coming back in again every year. So you need to think about how are you going to be managing your business going forward, and in terms of the exit, is it through private equity? Is it through or are you going to be a platform for private equity? Are you going to work with a private equity firm to acquire other firms? Or are you going to fund it yourself? So many, many things to think about in terms of the actual space of accounting in the current world. And the issues we have in the UK are pretty much similar to what other issues the other accountancy firms have in other parts of the world, such as the US, Canada, Australia, etc. I hope that gives you a good insight of what's going on in the world at the moment. We're not alone. You're not alone. And if you need any help, you know where we are. We'd be delighted to assist. Thanks very much. Bye-bye. And that's a wrap for another episode of the Unstoppable Business Podcast. We hope you enjoyed it today, and please do share us on social media and make sure you do subscribe. Thank you very much.